rolling. Sean here, it's Monday, we're in the shop. This week, we're starting on the seats for John Dunlap's Corvette. John is the guy responsible for Canton Cars and Coffee, Minerva Motor Club, the Superfly show. This is the stamp that will emboss the leather on his seats for, and then we'll take you upstairs and show you how Lee has started cutting and sewing. We shaped the foam many months back. Now we're finally getting back to it. So we'll get to see these seats come to life this week. Also on the docket this week is for me to finish the Bel-Air. The center console is still in the fab shop, so I have a little bit more modification to do on that to get the air vents to fit, and then our LED channels on the sides. So we'll see that first, and then hopefully I can wrap the center console, and then we'll get to working on the carpet. And then the car may or may not go down to Jeff's to get that little paint blemish fixed. That's kind of straightforward and simple for the week. There's a lot of other stuff here, but we're gonna stay focused on those two things this week so we can see them move out of the shop. All right, we're upstairs with Lee with John's C5 Corvette seats. He completely restructured the foam on the outers. We added a center bolster on the bottom of the seat, and the goal is to get them to look similar to kind of a C6 RS style seat. If you look those up, then the seat design will make a lot of sense. We're gonna stick with kind of a stock color dark red leather insert that we had perforated. And on the bolsters, we have actual real suede, and we had the Corvette logo laser etched on it. And then a different Corvette embroidered band will be up here to kind of mimic the stock seat. So we're kind of blending everything together for John, just the way he wants it. I think they're gonna come out really cool. We'll have his logo stamp right up top on the headrest. And once he gets his car fixed, they should look great in there.
All right, we're just making templates. This cover is going to be similar to the original cover with the exception of the modified bolster here.
Back in the fab shop working on the Bel-Air console. Need one more round of filler to just tighten up the gaps and then feather this out just right. So we'll mix it up and slap it down. Tuesday, we're here in the fab shop. I am working on Mark's center console for the 55 Bel-Air. Have a little bit more sanding to do for our LED channels. And then I just need to make the center console lid and a little piece for inside. So we'll keep following along on this process. We're getting real close to being able to start wrapping it in leather. It's always the fun part. 90% of the work is the fabrication, and really the smallest part of our job is the actual upholstery part anymore. It's all just hours and hours and hours of fabrication. And then upstairs, right above us, is Lee, who is still working on the Corvette seats for the Canton Cars and Coffee Corvette. So, like I said yesterday, we'll stay focused, keep working on these two, and see where the day takes us. I have the pattern laid out for my center console lid. So next step, I'm going to take this plastic pattern, put it on a piece of aluminum, and that way we'll have a nice solid skin for our lid. So I don't want to actually put this through the rollers because it'll bend it too much, I think. But we're going to use the roller just to kind of give it a little bend by hand as we go, and test fit, bend more, test fit, bend more, back and forth till we get just the right crown that we need. Crest, it fits. Sean here, Thursday, Spotlight Customs, we're in the shop. Today is carpet day. Yesterday Lee got the carpet padding built up, smoothed out. Now we have wonderful Mercedes black carpet ready to go in. He's sewing up the passenger side now, and after that we'll start to glue down, and then I'll be working on the center console wrap, so we'll follow along as we put carpet in this beauty and start to pattern and wrap the console. Let's do it. Here we are, back of the shop, trusty 2-inch masking tape. It's what we use to pattern for our leather wrap on the console. We'll need a seam all the way along the edge here to get it to wrap on the inside of the console. It'll make a little bit more sense once we see the process, but long story short, I'm gonna cover each side in tape. We'll mark with a Sharpie where we want each seam, and also some sewing marks so we can make sure everything's lined up as we sew. So pattern it, we'll cut out a leather, sew it, and then we'll see some red on this baby today. Black booties. This area right here is really why we have to put a seam, because you can't get the leather to stretch up, over, and then down into this area. We got to fill too. So then that's why we have the seam here. So our material can break and then it will flow down inside of our console. Next step, razor blade. We're gonna score the line I just made with the pen, and that will break our tape patterns apart, and then we can peel them off of the console, lay them on leather. But then once I score our line here, we'll then have to go back and then add a 1/2 inch. It's called our seam allowance, because we need the material a 1/2 inch, or the needle a 1/2 inch inside of the edge of the material. It'll make sense here in a couple more minutes. But for now, razor blade this off. We can peel our patterns, get it on some leather. It's a pattern. Lee's up here sewing carpet. Just really one seam. Back stitch so we don't have a strip of binding. We just found it looks a little bit cleaner. And then we'll cut floor mats out of the unbacked. Yeah, it'll come out looking good. Upstairs with the red focus leather from Eureka Leather. Before you ever cut anything, it's essential to really look over the hide, pull it tight, and you can see here, this one's pretty clean. We only have a couple few maybe veins or scars in the leather that we just like to highlight so we can pattern around them and make sure we avoid these little scars and veins. It's a natural product. It's not going to be perfect, but we try to work around the heavy scarring and veining. So just one more thing you got to do. It takes more time, but it's really helpful because we've had it before where you sew something and then you pull it tight and then poof, all of a sudden the vein pops out. You got to do it over. So spend the time up front. You'll save your time on the back end. So as I said before, we're now tracing our pattern and we're adding that 1/2 inch, which is our seam allowance. And our actual needle and stitch will be right here, leaving this much space for us to then flip over the leather and do a nice double top stitch or French seam. This tool, made by our friends at Beal's Upholstery, the seam puck, where you can do all sorts of things, not just tracing for sewing patterns, but you can use these in all sorts of fab work. So nice tool, support another shop, really helps us out, speeds us up, increases consistency. Do a little test fit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Little thread. I think it's time for lunch. Cool.